Malcolm-Jamal Warner's wife just broke her silence, and what she's revealing is sending shockwaves through Hollywood. After years of whispers, shady cover-ups, and way too many questions left hanging, she's stepping forward and naming the person she believes is really behind Malcolm's death. No cryptic clues, no vague theories. She's dropping names and laying out the receipts like she's been holding this in for way too long. But this ain't just a grief-stricken widow venting. This is a woman who's coming for blood. She says, before Malcolm passed, the threats were coming in heavy, anonymous, serious, and scary. She claims he was being watched and followed. Somebody powerful didn't want him talking, and they were doing everything they could to shut him up. Now ask yourself this. Why would anyone want to keep Malcolm's death under wraps? Who's scared of the truth getting out? The deeper you dig into this, the uglier it gets. And the way his wife is talking, it's just getting started. Because according to her, and she's not holding anything back, Malcolm didn't drown. She's flat out saying it. She's finally ready to expose who did this to him. She's on a mission, and whoever's responsible, she's ready to drag them out into the light, no matter how high up the food chain they are. She's calling this a full-on cover-up. Forget what the news tried to sell you. She says the story they pushed never added up from day one. Now she's unpacking it all. Names, motives, threats. And the way she's laying it out, it's clear somebody is about to get exposed in a big way. What makes her story even more intense? Malcolm spent his life fiercely protecting his family. He never shared their faces, never even said their names publicly. He was that private. But now, even while staying anonymous, his wife is done being silent. She's not showing her face, but she's showing everything else. Her words, calculated. Her moves, precise. This ain't just about grief. This is about justice. The first thing she did, she shut down the drowning story. She says there's no way Malcolm died from that rip current. In her words, he was already gone before he even touched the water. And she's not just saying that, like she's bringing facts. Apparently, Malcolm was a strong swimmer, like really strong. He knew how to handle himself in the ocean. This wasn't some freak accident. He wasn't panicking. Something was off. Witnesses say people were trying to help, but Malcolm didn't react at all. That's when things started looking suspicious. And here's the bombshell. There's a claim that an autopsy was done right after his passing, and it showed no water in his lungs. If that's true, then he couldn't have drowned. That changes everything. That means the official story doesn't hold water, literally. So now we gotta ask, what really happened before he hit that ocean? According to her, Malcolm might have been poisoned with something untraceable, then pushed into the water to make it look like a drowning. That's straight up foul if true. And she says it was all done to cover up the real cause. But why would anyone want to take Malcolm-Jamal Warner out? He was chill, private, unproblematic, stayed out the mess, always kept it low-key. So what made him a target? Well, that's where things start heating up. His wife says Malcolm had started talking, and not in a safe, surface-level way. Behind the scenes, he was calling out powerful people, and they were not feeling that. Apparently, he was speaking way too boldly for certain folks in Hollywood. See, Malcolm had a podcast called Not All Hood, and it was hitting nerves. Big time. He was pulling back the curtain on how black artists get treated in the industry. No sugarcoating, no tiptoeing. He was raw with it, and people were starting to listen. In one of the final episodes, which we're gonna play later, Malcolm stopped being polite and went straight for the truth. He called out double standards. He pointed fingers. He named patterns. That's when things started getting real dangerous. He straight up asked why The Cosby Show was yanked off air the second Bill Cosby got convicted, but movies by people like Woody Allen and Roman Polanski still airing like nothing happened. He called out how a black man's entire legacy gets torched instantly, while white men get to separate the art from the artist. That kind of honesty, it doesn't sit well with people who profit from silence.
You know, the reason for the title is combating the narrative of black life, or black culture that the media focuses on. And, you know,
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, you know, we're not all hood. The black community is not a mob.
And Malcolm wasn't playing it safe anymore. He was speaking for the voiceless, challenging systems, waking people up. And sometimes telling the truth in Hollywood is the quickest way to make yourself a target. So now, with Malcolm gone and the official story full of holes, his wife is risking everything to tell what really went down. And the way she's moving, she's not here to play it cute. She's here to bring down whoever thought they could silence Malcolm forever. But that ain't even the whole story, because Malcolm wasn't just calling out individuals. He was going after the system. He boldly claimed that powerful white execs in Hollywood were deliberately stirring up chaos in the black community, not by accident, but on purpose.
Community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the black community, and we wanted to have a space where we could acknowledge, discuss all of those lanes, because they're so varied in terms of our perspectives and our opinions and our ways of life, and we wanted to be able to have a place where we can talk about all of those things, discuss all of those things, and shed light on the not all hood aspects of who we are.
According to Malcolm, they were behind the scenes pulling strings, encouraging beef, sparking drama, and watching as successful black men turned against each other, all while they sat back and collected every dollar from the chaos. Just last year, Malcolm spoke out against the whole Kendrick versus Drake battle, and he didn't hold back. He said that wasn't just music industry beef, it was strategic, and it was wrecking the culture. In his words, it wasn't about bars. It was about ego, violence, and division, the kind that tears communities apart while billionaires count checks in the background. And if you really paid attention, fans picked up on something way deeper in his final podcast episode. Malcolm started getting real subtle, but his message was heavy. He spoke about how the media always seems ready to strip black men of their humanity, how they're boxed in, labeled, pushed to the edge, just for existing. But the real jaw-dropper? He hinted that he was about to expose all of it. Looking back now, people are saying it felt like he was trying to warn us, like he knew something was coming, like he didn't have much time left. This is what he said. And now, according to his wife, too many pieces just don't add up. She allegedly believes this was never an accident. And honestly, the details are looking shady. Let's talk about the so-called rescue. It supposedly happened on a public beach in broad daylight with people all around. But somehow, not a single photo or video has surfaced. And in this era, where people film a cloud if it looks funny, that's highly suspicious. And just when you thought it couldn't get weirder, something else popped up. A short video resurfaced, showing Malcolm walking alone on the beach just minutes before the incident. Nobody knows who filmed it, or why it never aired, or how it stayed hidden all this time. But what is clear? Somebody had eyes on him, and now people are asking the question that's hard to shake. Was he being followed? And then there's the mystery man. Yup, the second man who was reportedly in the water with Malcolm. To this day, nobody knows who he is. His identity never released. And get this, his injuries? Barely anything. Dude was out of the hospital within days. Some even claimed Malcolm's young daughter was in the water too, but she didn't need more than a brief checkup. Yet Malcolm, the only adult and the strongest swimmer of the group, didn't survive. Something's not clicking here. Then comes the medical side. Malcolm's wife says the autopsy report made it crystal clear. No water in the lungs, no signs of a struggle. That's not what drowning looks like. But here's where it gets messy. Costa Rican authorities claimed they ruled it an accident. Cool. But then why hasn't the full autopsy report ever been released? Not to the public, not even to the family. So now people are asking, if this was really just a tragic accident, what's being hidden? And finally, nobody's been able to explain why Malcolm even went into that water. This wasn't a safe, family-friendly spot. This was a beach that locals themselves avoid. Red flag warnings were posted that day, and barely a lifeguard in sight. That beach is known to be risky, and Malcolm, he wasn't reckless. He was cautious, calculated, always alert. So why would a man like that, a strong swimmer, a protective father, and someone who avoided unnecessary risks, walk straight into danger like that? It's not making sense. And now, the deeper this goes, the more questions keep stacking up. At this point, nobody's buying the official story anymore. Fans are waking up. and a growing number now believe Malcolm's wife was right from the jump. They're saying Malcolm never ignored the danger signs because he never stepped into that water willingly in the first place. Let's keep it real. This ain't new. We've seen this same tragic pattern play out too many times. Every time a bold black artist steps out of line, refuses to play Hollywood's game, and starts telling too much truth, suddenly they disappear, or they accidentally lose their life in ways that never quite sit right. And now, it's looking like Malcolm just became the latest name added to that list. But here's where things start getting real suspicious. According to his wife, and she's been clear about this, Malcolm didn't go to Costa Rica for a vacation. She says he left the country because the threats were getting out of control. We're not talking hate comments or trolls online. These were serious, cold, untraceable calls. Someone warned him to shut up, or his family would pay the price. And she says all of that started right after Malcolm began speaking even louder. He wasn't just doing interviews or hinting at things. He was calling out the industry directly, naming the shady treatment black artists face, exposing how they're used up, discarded, or silenced when they stop playing along. Now everybody's asking, was Malcolm really trying to relax in Costa Rica, or was he running for his life? Allegedly, those calls shook him bad. Each time one came in, it messed with his whole vibe. His mood would shift instantly. He'd shut down, withdraw, and it got to the point where his wife says he knew something was coming. That's why, according to her, his final podcast wasn't just another episode. It was a warning, a goodbye. He was dropping cryptic hints left and right, saying he was done being quiet, ready to blow the lid off everything no matter what it cost him. But before he could do that, he was gone. Just like that, whatever he knew, whatever he planned to expose, it disappeared with him. Now with Malcolm gone and the official story falling apart, his wife is putting everything on the line to speak out. And based on what she's saying, Malcolm didn't just die, he was targeted. The unanswered questions, the silence, the hidden footage, the threats, none of it screams accident. It screams cover-up. And if what's being claimed is true, whoever did this isn't just trying to bury one man. They're trying to erase the truth he was carrying. But here's what they didn't expect. They thought silencing Malcolm would be enough. They thought once he was gone, the trail would go cold. But they didn't count on her, because his wife, even through the grief, is refusing to let it end like this. She's not backing down, she's not hiding, and this time the world is watching closely. So if someone did want to bury the truth, they just might have started a war they can't win.